Hey guys, Tyler, ESPN. You guys didn't get a lot of credit coming in the series. All of the analysts and insiders on the desk said 4-0 easy. You came out really strong, took a map, and you played a very competitive series. How did you feel? How do you feel about being underrated by a lot of the pundits and analysts who are ranking you 11th, 12th place? Does it fuel you? Does it make you mad? How do you feel?
I'd say it fuels us, or like in a way, it helps us fight without no pressure and be able to do the right decisions. I think it helped us in scrims a ton to be able to like, okay, we know what we need to focus on. We know what we need to do. I kind of lost my red thread, but in general, like yeah, like people have been underestimating us, and I think we're just gonna get stronger and stronger. So watch out for Mayhem.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting change because we've gone from being, the top dogs in Europe and being very highly regarded and having that pressure of performing as the favorite, and then now we're kind of on the opposite edge and opposite end. I mean, but at the end of the day, we all know what we're capable of. As long as we keep practicing, keep improving, we know that we're better than where the pundits rank us. So we're not too worried about that.
Hi, Sabriel Maston from Overbuff. Your play was much more organized than the preseason, and we talked about that on press day the other day. But there's always room for improvement. You look great today, but there's always room for improvement. What are you going to change for your match against Boston tomorrow?
I think against Boston, it's just a bit of a different challenge. We've scrimmed them quite a bit, and they play different compositions. They have a different play style, so it's just going to be adjusting to that. In terms of improvement, I mean, we played a lot of close maps against them. We won one obviously in pretty dominant fashion. We lost one in dominant fashion. So I don't think there's going to be any immediate overhauls. It's just kind of working on ironing out the little mistakes. There were a couple of individual errors here or there that are very easily fixable. So we'll go through that and we'll make sure we have a good game plan for Boston.
Hey there, Adam with Action Esports. So across many, if not all esports, South Korea is a major force of a region, and their teams are historically very, very successful, in Overwatch included. But kind of the caveat to that is that we don't typically have them competing with other regions in the regular season. Do you think being able to compete against Korean teams in the regular season is going to help even the playing field, or do you think they're going to continue to be an overly dominant force?
I think it's going to even the playing field, like just from scrims and overall games like we watch, it's super even. Like any team can beat any team. Like we went from barely winning any maps in scrims to almost beating Spitfire. Right? They're one of the best teams in the world, so I think anything can happen, and it's going to be very close.
Next question.
Hey guys, Josh with Blitz Esports. Talked a little bit about how you guys have definitely seemed to improve from the preseason, and you put up a hell of a fight against the Spitfire. At this time, as Mayhem, what do you guys feel like your particular strengths are in regards to certain situations or maps or game types? What do you guys feel like you're the best at right now?
Good question.
It's a tough one.
I think it's right now it's realizing what ults they have, and we have a plan for the fight that's coming up whenever it is. So figuring out what they're gonna do with their ultimates and how we can make something happen with what we got, pretty much, I think.
And we're always like in a good mood when we play official games. Doesn't matter if we lose 2 in a row. We're still fighting super hard. We're still in a good mood. We're still happy. Everyone's doing their best, so doesn't matter the score.
Yeah, I think Manhattan, has a very good point. Like even in scrims, if you have a bad day of scrims, there's no, it still stays productive. There's no arguments. You discuss how to improve, but you don't, point fingers or take things personal. The mood is always light, which is very nice. All of us have been in teams before where you have 1 or 2 players perhaps that, kind of sour the atmosphere, but we don't really have that here. So, that's definitely a good strength to have, because you can always keep practice, and and on stage you can always be productive.
Hi, this is Frida from Your Overwatch. This question is for Logix. In the Contenders final, a lot of analysts look to you for possibly underperforming a little bit on the Tracer role, but coming out here against the Spitfire, you mixed up your hero pool and looked a lot more comfortable. Is there a reason for that?
I think the meta has shifted to a point where a lot, like example, University, until very recently we started still playing Tracer because that's the hero I'm most comfortable on for now. But so many teams have been running the McCree, Roadhog, and Junkrat, and that's just deadly for Tracer. So over time, my hero pool is going to have to shift. So that's pretty much why.
Hey, Tyler from ESPN again. This is for Logic as well. I think one of the big early stories so far is a lot of people trying to figure out who the best DPS in the world is. And yesterday, Flood in Effect had a masterful series back and forth, and a lot of players during media day said you as one of the better DPS players in the world. Who do you think currently is the best DPS in the world, or who do you look up to as the best, or do you think you're the best DPS in the world?
No, by no means do I think I'm the best. Personally, Birdring is one of the players that I look up to. Obviously, there's other contenders such as Flare and Effect, and they're both incredible players. So there's a lot of talent, but for now, I don't think I'm even close.
Nathan with Double Tap. Big story.
Obviously.
Obviously, it's a 6-man roster. So, I mean, this is kind of like a prime example of what could happen. You win the first match, the other two, you lose them, kind of banging head against the wall. This would be a perfect opportunity, swapping a player, change some tempo. Mineral, I don't know if you were in the main decision of how many players were if this went off the Ben, but would this be kind of an example of where having a larger roster could go in effect?
I wasn't, but I think that narrative is just kind of people are running with that narrative, and they kind of beat it to death. If you look at the game, I don't think they made a single substitution either, and they have 12 players. So, and they lost the first map, and the maps were close. So, I don't think it was like I can look at any map that we lost today and go, oh, if we had this player and we can slot him here, we would have won it. It came down to little details like it usually does in Overwatch. An individual mistake here or there that gets punished, an individual play that opponents make here or there, and then that kind of changes the tide. So being 6 or 12 didn't really matter, and I mean you saw like they didn't make any substitutions either. So.
Hey there, Adam from Action Esports again. So Anubis is one of those 2 CP maps that has a tendency to go into double or even like triple overtime, and teams of various skill levels all kind of get hit really hard with the full-on blitz on point 2. What do you feel is the proper response to kind of recover from that hard blitz and to kind of prevent that long drawn out kind of game?
I think most of the map is if you lose the first point in a really bad way, like they get a lot of ult charge and you don't, then it's almost impossible to stop them from getting second, like immediately. Especially if they get like Valk or Sun ult or Blade. It's super hard to stop.
I have to, if you have the disadvantage in terms of ult economy, you have to do a pretty active play or like try to get them off guard basically. So try to go for some active play. Try to force out the rules, and maybe you can get a regroup on point.
We'll take one last question.
It's Frida from Your Overwatch again. On Oasis, you went into it both rounds winning the first fight, which puts you at a huge statistical advantage from what we know. And from what I can tell, you would use Valkyrie in order to try to hold on to the point defensively rather than lose the fight convincingly and come back with it. Is that a stylistical choice or the strat call that you have going into it where you use Valk to try to clutch out the fight rather than retaking with it?
I'd say like with the sort of comp we ran with like Orisa and Hog, we're not very mobile. So generally we try to keep control as long as we can and not try to go for retakes with a comp like that, because then we'd basically forced to swap the comp and we are like in a disadvantage ult-wise with the new tanks we have done.
Yeah, I think that comp relies a lot about having the point control, and giving that up is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of being proactive with the Valkyrie, you know, again, with that composition, it's very hard to be proactive because you're playing two kind of stationary tanks that can move around a little bit, but they're usually going to pivot around the shield. So it's a lot harder to use it in a way, like open up a fight with it, because you can't really push an advantage the way you can with like a Diva and a Winston. So, you know, with that particular composition, it's just kind of how you have to play the Valkyrie.
Okay, Florida, thank you for your time.
Thank you.